Sex and the City is one of my favorite TV shows. The show does a great job at portraying a lot of what modern women go through and shows the harm that feminism has done towards many modern women. Carrie Bradshaw, the protagonist, is a deeply fascinating character, but she is generally a terrible person, and in this video, I'm going to discuss why. I have made another video on Sex and the City, which you can check out in the cards. My name is Zarina Matcha, and you're watching The Rational Female. If you enjoy my content, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. Carrie constantly plays the victim, and she does this from day one. The show is built around her relationship with Mr. Big. It's sort of the reverse of what we see in male stories. Instead of will he get the girl, it's will she marry the guy. Carrie is obsessed with Big. She projects a huge romantic fantasy onto what they have, completely idealizing the relationship. Meanwhile, Big is not interested in committing to her. Initially, he doesn't even want exclusivity, and she gets very angry about this. I understand why she is angry, and I can sort of relate, but she doesn't handle the situation maturely, and there's no personal accountability. She never thinks about what she did wrong. It's all his fault. She really should have just broken things off with him or tried to have a calm conversation with him. She constantly shows up at his house or when he is at church, and when he says something she doesn't like, she just throws a hissy fit. I remember the episode when he says that he is going to Paris and she throws food at the wall. This is ridiculous. Carrie constantly throws tantrums, and at one point she even slaps him in the face. Are we just going to ignore the fact that it's somehow acceptable for women to slap men in the face, but if men slap women, it's seen as physical abuse? I am aware that she slapped him as an accident, sort of like a reflex. But in season 6, Alexander does the same thing to Carrie by slapping her by accident too, and this is seen as much worse. So for some reason, a man slapping a woman is worse than a woman slapping a man. This just excuses female violence, which a lot of men and women suffer from. We should treat physical violence in general as poor behaviour, regardless of gender, and if a woman slapping a man is viewed as an accident, the same should be true of the reverse. In season 3, Carrie begins dating Aidan, and then she cheats on him with Big, who is now married. This is definitely the worst thing that she does in the show. Aidan is a very good guy, whereas Big was not. Although honestly, Carrie and Big deserve each other. Carrie starts the affair with Big, and then expects Aidan to just accept it as her flaw, rather than understanding that she did something terribly wrong and allowing him to just walk away with his dignity. It gets worse in season 4 when she begs him to come back. You have to forgive me! That whole storyline just gets on my nerves, and Aidan becomes noticeably passive-aggressive towards her, which is wrong on his behalf. Things completely crumble in one of my favorite episodes in the show, Belle of the Balls, where Carrie goes to stay with Aidan in the country and has the nerve to allow Big to come up and spend the night with them. I'm looking at my screen going, dude, Aidan, why are you allowing this? You've got to break things off with this woman. The way Carrie treats Aidan in general in the 4th season sucks so hard. There's an episode where her computer crashes, and I understand her being upset about this and not being able to handle it. But later that episode, Aidan buys her a new computer. There's no word of thanks, no appreciation for him trying to help. A mature person would acknowledge what he has done, and then if they didn't like it, return the computer for a better model. But Carrie rarely shows emotional maturity. Now, I don't think that Carrie is the worst friend, because she does show genuine kindness and compassion, but there are also moments where her selfishness is apparent. One of the key examples of Carrie at her worst is in the season 4 episode Ring-a-Ding-Ding. Carrie and Aidan have broken off their engagement, and she needs to buy her apartment. She doesn't have the money for her down payment. She goes to Big, who gives her a check for her down payment. Both Miranda and Samantha offer her the money instead. Carrie refuses and then looks to Charlotte, who is in the middle of a stressful divorce. Carrie has already just been offered the money by 3 people. She then has the nerve to go to Charlotte's house and interrogate her about not giving her the money. Charlotte doesn't owe Carrie anything. Carrie has a stable job. She is not disabled nor suffering from any mental illness. She doesn't need to live in a big, fancy apartment. Plenty of people in London live in tiny flats. Carrie could sell some of her expensive clothes and shoes if she wanted to live in a nicer place. Now, I do understand being attached to something. I do, own a lot of books. Although, books aren't really comparable to loads of designer clothes. Carrie spends around $400 on a pair of shoes. I can't comprehend spending £400 on a single item of clothing or footwear. Carrie could have sold a bunch of her fancy shoes to stay living in her apartment. She would probably end up being able to buy more shoes in the future anyway. The point is, she was offered the money by Miranda, Samantha, and Big, and then went to interrogate Charlotte. It's ridiculous. She should have just taken the money from Big. But it ended with Charlotte being a very good person, giving her wedding ring for Carrie's down payment. Again, I can't comprehend spending £30,000 on a piece of jewelry. These people's lives are not realistic. Charlotte is probably the nicest out of the four of them, although Samantha is my favorite character. In the episode where they all go to Atlantic City, Charlotte mentions to Carrie about wanting a family as well as friends, and Carrie makes a flippant remark about not banking on that happening. That really got under my skin because it's such an insensitive thing to say to someone who genuinely wants that. I never liked that scene, and it's never addressed again. Carrie is also often snarky and judgmental when Samantha talks about her sexual escapades. It's odd that Carrie is a sex columnist, yet is relatively prudish when it comes to sexual experimentation. There's that one episode where she freaks out about the guy she is dating being bisexual. I guess I can understand why some people might find that uncomfortable. For me personally, I wouldn't see it as a big deal, as long as a person was genuinely attracted to me. Plenty of bisexual men are still very masculine. I don't really see what all the fuss is about, but then I am from a generation where people don't know what male or female is anymore. Carrie constantly makes sarcastic jabs at Samantha whenever Samantha speaks about sex, and it just becomes tiresome after a while. If she doesn't like it, why not just have a mature conversation with her about it? But then it would be a boring show, and I wouldn't be standing here making videos about it. Overall, Carrie is a good example of a self-obsessed, emotionally immature woman who doesn't know how to manage herself. That being said, she's a highly entertaining character, and I can relate to some of her neuroticism, but she lacks self-awareness and personal accountability. She never seems to see where she may have gone wrong, and she barely makes an effort with therapy, which will probably help her if she's stuck with it. There's no accounting for any of her choices with men, or her lavish lifestyle, which she doesn't really need. I do think Carrie is fascinating to watch, and she is a very well-written character for a drama, but she should be no one's role model. The other three women all show development. Charlotte gets over her romantic idealism and marries a stable guy. Miranda becomes a wife and mother and stops being so snappy with Steve. And even Samantha ends up in a monogamous relationship despite being so against it for so long. They all grow as people by the end of the show. I haven't seen Unjust Like That, and for me it is not canon. I refuse to watch it. But Carrie never really changes. And maybe that's why the show is so enjoyable. It's predictable and realistic in its depiction of people, aside from their lifestyle. Some people don't change and never really grow out of bad behavioral patterns. Do let me know your thoughts on this below. For regular essays critiquing feminism, follow my Rational Female Substack. Link is available here or in the description below. To support the channel further, consider buying me a coffee via this link. Your support really helps me out a lot.